Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. What a great day, although signing date has changed significantly through the last couple of years, and this year's with the whole pandemic certainly is different as well, but we're excited about announcing these two student athletes that are going to be joining the rest of our recruiting class. I also know that this is being live streamed, so I want to say hi to all the fans that are out there, Cowboy fans. We're certainly excited about this next year. I'm going to make a couple comments about these recruits. We'll show some video of these players, and then I'll open it up to any questions that you may have about the recruiting class. I can tell you, we've done an extensive deep dive or scrub on where we're at as a football program. I left a last one of these calls pretty impassioned. That passion has certainly stayed the same, and we're in the process of continuing to make significant improvements as we distill what's going to take Cowboy football forward. I'm in hopes to our fans that right around the corner you're going to be able to enjoy a seat at War Memorial Stadium on a bright sunny afternoon this fall. The outlook looks bright. I cannot wait to where I get my vaccine, and I know as college fans all across the country, we're certainly anticipating a normal 2021, so we're excited about that. The two young men that we'd like to talk about today are both from the same high school, Lancaster High School, which is a high school that's in the suburbs of the Metroplex area. Coach Gilbert is their head football coach. I've not had the opportunity to be in the school, but we have had many coaches through there. That school enjoys a great national and state reputation. The players there have a great discipline. They are very athletic, and some really meaningful players that have chosen now to extend their career and come play college football for the Cowboys. So the first guy I'd like to talk about is Tony Evans. It's actually Tony Evans Jr. You'll see the tape here off. It should be coming up, and I'll try to paraphrase some things. But Tony's a wide receiver that has big play potential. You can see him being able to go up and make contested catches, which we think is something that we need to continue to improve with our offensive arsenal. He does have good speed. He does have good size. He's 6'2", 185. You can see he's able to run down the field vertically, adjust to the ball well. And we certainly need that type of big play potential that's going to be refined here by Coach Grant. What's interesting is when I read the name Tony Evans Jr., and I thought about a couple things. It harkened back to when I was a young linebacker coach at the University of Tulsa, and we had Tony Evans as one of our running backs. And so on one of our Zoom calls, I asked a question, and of course, I probably look a little bit older, and Tony Sr. looked a little bit older, but he, in fact, confirmed that he was a split-back veer running back for us for the Golden Hurricane. We chuckled and we laughed. It was great to have a chance to reconnect on some of those issues. Father is a prince of a guy, as a police officer down in the metro area, and so we're really excited about Tony and what he's going to be able to add to our receiving corps. The next player I'd like to talk about is DQ James, and he goes by DQ. We feel like we need to have an element a little bit different than some of our other running backs with great speed. Here you can see DQ run on the jet sweep. He's got verified time of 10,600 meters, and so he can really fly. And so speed is something that it's hard to coach. You can see him hit the crease here and run away, and many of these players that he's playing against have got a pretty good pulse on how much speed is on that field. And so DQ is a guy who is going to add an element to our running back room that is unique. And not to say that our other running backs don't have good speed, but DQ has exceptional speed. And so that's going to be an ingredient that I think is going to add great value. We're going to be able to utilize him in lots of different roles on our offense. We're excited about having DQ. Both of them come from a winning program, and we think that's important to make sure that we identify guys who have a sense of what it takes to win, and a deep commitment to be a team player, not an individual player. These guys have both expressed their desire to play for the University of Wyoming. They're excited about starting their college career here, and we're certainly excited about welcoming them to our class. So that being said, I will open it up to the questions that are down here. Hopefully this works okay. I think, Michael, you raised your hand first, so I'll go ahead and answer your question. Michael, you're going to need to unmute, I believe. He says he's unmuted and he can't.
Mm-hmm. We should be getting him.
I think we're experiencing some IT audio difficulties at this time, and so I may have to give one of my impromptu speeches. So I see Tracy here, the grumpy Gus guy over there. Tracy, let's see if we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Michael, hopefully we can come back to you.
Did you, were 2 enough? Did you want to get more than this, or was this pretty much what you wanted to fill out with?
No, it was. And Tracy, this is going to get into, another subject that I think every college football coach is adjusting to. The NCAA has granted an extra year for all players on your roster. And so during the course of this year, what we call super seniors are going to actually be giving an extra year. And the NCAA has allowed each school to go beyond the 85 limit on scholarships on a one-year basis. And so what will occur the next year, though, is you have to get back down to the 85 level. And so we're very mindful of where our roster is at. We're also mindful of how many seniors we will have exiting. We don't have a crystal ball. And then the other thing that has occurred is, I'm convinced that we'll have an adjustment by the NCAA to allow a one-time transfer. And so that's gonna also have some impact on what goes on in college football. That coupled with NIL, that's a really challenging time. And so we've kind of measured our squad and said, okay, the NCAA right now allows 85 scholarships, and you can have a cap of taking 25 in 1 year. And so we've looked at a roster, we looked at where we're at, how close we are to projecting at 85, where we would be at 25. Our roster has not been made up of a ton of transfers. We have had some, but not very many. At most a handful in the whole time I've been a head coach. But that's not to say that the landscape's not changing. So this was our goalpost. I shouldn't say our goalpost, but we wanted to add 2. We added 2, and I'm very comfortable with where we sat. Okay, I don't know. Michael, are you up?
Can you hear me this time?
I got you. Cody will
Okay.
come right back to you after this.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure if I missed this, but I just had a couple of housekeeping questions real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
There are reports out there that AJ Blasik is leaving for Vanderbilt. Can you comment on that?
I certainly can. I can comment to you what his conversation with me. I cannot comment about Vanderbilt. I can tell you typically, Michael, when a coach leaves to go to another school, it's just, I guess, commonplace that the school that the coach is going to usually announces, they're a new assistant coach. I know every school has different procedures they go through. I can say that he had intentions to go to Vanderbilt and left, and that was his intentions, and that's what he told me. We wish him well. Whether they've announced it or not, I had our SID check. They hadn't announced it, but I'm not going to skirt around an issue when I have the factual information that was told to me, and so I want to wish him well.
And then my other question was, have the players who opted out returned to the team yet? Are they all back?
They are. COVID was a unique circumstance for all our players. I think we still have maybe one guy who's got an unrelated medical issue that is not on campus right now, but all the players who had opted out from COVID are now in the midst of our winter conditioning program. Cody.
Well, Mike stole my questions, Coach. Hope you're having a good offseason. I'm wondering, with these two new recruits that are coming in, was it a case where you went to go see one and then you said, holy smokes, who is that guy?
You know, it was a little bit of a combination of both. We knew as we were vetting, you know, our recruiting matrix, we knew that we wanted another receiver that would have deep threat ability, and certainly Tony provided that. DQ was a guy who I think in the initial response was actually maybe looking at a couple other different schools, and we had kind of sorted through a couple different tailbacks, and then we started to look at, okay, who's going to be coming back in that running back room, and who could we add that's going to bring something different? And so that's when we started to open up a dialogue with DQ. He had interest. You know, we wanted to make sure that, you know, he had some strong academic interest to make sure he got his degree here. And then what kind of will come attitude. Sometimes guys have an attitude that I want to play college football, but do I really want to go that far away? And both these guys were convinced. And so it was a combination of knowing about the school, knowing DQ, and then kind of having the stars align correctly with, okay, you know, what guys are coming back. Trey was going to come back. X is going to come back. What other guys are we going to have in that room, and who can augment to add something different to where that defensive coordinator sees, okay, we've got another fast guy in the game. We have to change our play script here. So that's the answer, Cody. By the way, the offseason is going well. I think you commented I seemed fired up the last time. Had a little fire under my butt. That fire hadn't gone away. I'm a little bit more maybe politically correct today. But I can tell you, I've not been more excited about going into an off season and you know, a football season. It's interesting, and if you guys want to bear with me 2 seconds, a dear friend of mine who's a banker says you make bad loans in good times. And so if we have some bankers that are out there that can probably relate, sometimes you get lulled to sleep on just where you're at. And I'm not saying there's a sense of complacency, but that fine line between winning and losing can be pretty doggone narrow. And, you know, I'm convinced that we underachieved last year, and there's all kinds of reasons why, but we won't make excuses on why we underachieved. That bar is not set to where we're content with that. And so we rolled up our sleeves, and we said, we got to get better. We're going to examine every aspect of our program, including our off-season conditioning. We're going to look at our schematics. We're going to look at what we're teaching, how we're teaching, who's going to be there, what players are going to be healthy. The fact that we will have Sean Chambers back is certainly going to have a big impact. But as I said earlier, we worked hard on re-engineering our offense, and we're short an offensive line coach right now, but I think we've got enough of a background on what we need to do in the running and the pass protection part of our game, what things that we can really do well, what our competition is going to, we anticipate them bringing, what we can do better on defense, what we can do better in special teams. We set a high bar, and I'm excited about where our football team is at. I know I've met with our captains. They're hungry. There's a sense of kind of a bitter taste in your mouth saying, you know what, we're a lot better than what we showed, and we gotta roll up our sleeves. Talking about it's done. And so, like I said, that fire hasn't gone away. I'm just maybe a little bit more politically correct. You guys probably like the other guy better, but that's not where I'm at. Yes, Davis.
Yeah, I like you a lot better when you're politically incorrect, Craig, to be honest.
Oh, I know. It makes for, I get it. Yeah, better media.
Where is Sean in his recovery? And do you expect to have him at all for spring?
Yeah, we'll have him. We anticipate him at full speed. He's been cleared for activity. He's under a restricted program right now. He was out there. I watched him run this morning at 6. He's not at full speed, but I think some of that, you know, the doctors were cautious with him, even though it was on the other leg. He was in a cast a little bit longer than what we had anticipated. That wasn't because he wasn't healing. They just were, I think, a little bit more conservative. He's running. He's throwing. He's not at full speed yet, but that's right around the corner. He's got a real determined look in his eye, and he's a great captain, and we're excited about having him and Levi back, and the other quarterbacks. Okay, Cody.
Greg, can you comment at all if Ravonte Holt, he's had such a heck of a time. Is he coming back? And,
Yes.
And how about Victor Jones? Can you comment on him at all?
You bet. I can tell you, I'm going to take them one at a time. Ravonte is back. He's been engaged. He's not able to be cleared for running activities. He was doing other activities this morning at 6. I mean, they have him doing all kinds of creative things. He has some academic work to do. He's been in our academic area every morning, also working on his academics. Ravonte's a smart guy. He put himself in a little bit of a hole, so he's making progress there. We anticipate that surgery being, he'll come back at 100%. ACL tears have been really good. The same guy that did the last ACL repair is doing this one. We think he'll be back at full speed sometime during the course of this summer. He's a really good player, and he has full intentions of being back. As far as Victor Jones, Victor has been suspended. I will amend. I said indefinitely. I can tell you this: we'll see where Victor is at. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but we're going to see where Victor's at the end of this semester, and if things go, hopefully how they can go, he will be allowed to come back and allowed to return to activities during the course of the summer. We'll evaluate that, and if he's able to check off those boxes, then we'll allow him to rejoin the team in the fall. I'm not going to get into specifics on the violation of team rules, but we have standards here, and when a young man is not up to snuff on the standards, we make some decisions. At times I've dismissed guys. There's been other times that we've suspended. In this case, we've given him an opportunity to do some things well during the course of the spring. He's not on the football team this spring. He's a student. He's not a student athlete. He's a student. But we're going to monitor how he's doing academically, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully that gives you enough of an answer. Tracy.
Are you able to talk about people who have filed in the transfer portal? Because I know Dante Crowe had said in a tweet that he was in the transfer portal, and then Cameron Smith is in the 240 transfer portal.
Right. We've had really enjoyed our time with Dante Crowe. He came in initially as a non-scholarship player from Sheridan, even did some punting for us. Dante and I talked about his long-range goals. I know he wants to someday be a chiropractor. We talked about what he really wants to accomplish in his next few steps. I believe he's going to Campbell University. That's in North Carolina, and the head coach there, actually, I had a pleasure to coach many years ago. Mike Minter was a great football player in the NFL, played for the Panthers out there, and Dante's going to continue his career there. We wish him the best. I think he looked at saying, okay, where we're at and what his long-term outlook would be here. And so we want to wish him very well. Cameron Smith was, a different case. Cameron was going to go through some potential discipline issues, and he was in good academic standing, and so he chose to go ahead and put himself in the transfer portal, and we want to wish him well, too. Yes, Trace, go ahead, Davis.
Craig, your two senior linemen, Logan Harris and Alonzo Velasquez, have they made a decision whether they're going to come back or not?
Well, they're out there working out this morning, really hard. So I don't think either one of those guys are big social media guys that make tweets. I love them to death. They're blue collar guys. They've told me that they plan on playing this next year. I can tell you this: I know them pretty doggone well. And around here, it's kind of the code of the West. When you make a promise, you keep it. And so unless there's some unforeseen things, I think both of those guys will be playing for the Cowboys this fall. They'll be playing for us this spring, and they were working their butt off this morning. Okay, Cody, yep.
Craig, do you need timetable at all? I know last time when this happened with Clayton Adams, you found Bart Miller about a month later.
Yeah.
You just kind of as quick as possible kind of thing?
We're going to be very, very not methodical. We'll be timely is the word I would like to use. We have moved spring football back longer than it's ever moved back, and so that gives us a little bit more latitude. Cody, I can tell you that we have I think, an excellent pool of candidates. We've done some phone interviews with those fellas. There's a handful. I think early this next week we'll be doing some Zooms with these guys, and then in short order we'll make an offer, and hopefully we have an acceptance. But we're really excited about the candidates that we have right now, and so you'll hear from us really shortly on who's accepted the job. Davis.
So, Craig, how many scholarships, if you wanted to use them, how many more technically do you have available?
Oh, we're kind of at that watermark right now. There's a little bit of give and take. When you have 85 as opposed to the hard ceiling of 25 is not something that we will go to. We could potentially go a little bit more, but some of that's just going to come into. There's always somebody that all of a sudden comes across some season-ending injury during the course of spring football that is either medically DQ'd or they just hang it up. But we're going to set pat right now. We may offer another one or two, but I think we're bumping up against that 85. There's some lag in there, so I'm very comfortable with where we're at.
Would that one or two possibly come from the transfer portal? Are you guys active in that?
I wouldn't say we're active in the transfer portal. I know some of my colleagues around the country are certainly very active in it. That's not been our MO. However, as you know, you go through our roster, we have taken some transfers. That's not to say that we won't, but that's not something that's really high on our list right now to go out and pursue. But if there's a player that is out there that we feel like fits the criteria to fit into our culture and then also meets the needs of helping us win some football games this next fall, we certainly would entertain that thought, but it's not high on our list right now. Michael.
I don't remember if we talked about this during the season-ending recap, but obviously Charles Hicks got hurt toward the end of the year. Do you have any update on him? Did he have surgery or anything?
It's hard for me to say if he had surgery because he's out there running full speed today. He looked awfully well. He was running full-length gassers, and so we're anticipating he's going to be back at full speed during the course of spring football. Cody.
Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but spring football's planned for April. Did you say the spring game was May 8th?
I don't know if I said that, but Tim Harkin said that, and he's the Dalai Lama. He's the one that sets our schedule over here. That's later than we've ever had it. And so, like I said, we're moving things back, and we'll see what, if there's some restrictions that get lifted through COVID. I don't know how about you guys. I just want to get back to normal. Be able to have a whistle around my neck, go out, hug a couple guys, chew a couple other guys out. I'm not saying, yell so much I spit on them, but I've done that before accidentally. That's coaching. And you guys felt my passion that I was so damn tired of how this year went. We celebrated the fact that we were playing. I just want to coach normal, so I talked to Tom Berman, our medical doctors. Let's move it back. I just know that typically, though, there's a snowstorm that comes right around Mother's Day or that day, and so hopefully we don't have a blizzard on the spring game day. Okay, it's getting to be pretty silent out there. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for your interest in Cowboy football. I know we're in the midst of some great sport right now with our men's basketball team and our women's basketball team. I want to cheer the Cowgirls on and the Cowboys on. Big fans of theirs. Our spring sports will be started, and guess what, guys? Next thing you know, we're going to be playing the Montana State Bobcats here before you know it. So sharpen up your pencil. I'm going to put my hand in the dirt. Let's get ready to go, and go Pokes.